Why are a bunch of fucking old men who ain't my pappy telling me what to fucking do? Can you tell me that?
And if it's still not clear, Jackie, maybe Santa could pop this little gem into your Christmas stocking. The book written by World Economic Forum boss Klaus Schwab himself, setting out precisely how the most powerful forces in the world are lining up to use the COVID-19 crisis as a pretext for introducing a new climate change-focused one world economy that will strip away property rights and basic democratic rights. They are not hiding this stuff, Jackie. They are shouting it from the rooftops. Even more reason why your ignorance is inexcusable. Indeed, here's Prince Charles only a couple of days ago wearing a poppy and disgracefully using the symbolism of Remembrance Day to push this same eco-fascist, globalist, totalitarian agenda.
With the urgency required, I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you will join me to drive a new Marshall-like plan for nature, people, and planet.
You hear that? Now, he did a separate video, but he said a Marshall-like plan. That means military operation. Again, everybody out there that has called me nutty or a conspiracy theorist because I have discussed a rule by bloodline, an actual oligarchy that actually still exists to this day, an unaccountable oligarchy, not only in the United Kingdom, but in Saudi Arabia and other places. People looking at me like, they're a democracy. Well, they have parliament over there in the United Kingdom. Well, then why the fuck is this old motherfucker telling me there's going to be a fucking military plan for a great reset on behalf of a dude that looks straight out of a fucking Bond movie? Straight out of it. And not the good ones, okay? The ones where they're in space suits. Again, these fucking assholes are fucking how old? So it's time for the fucking Great Resistance. We're going to wrap this up, and then we got Steve from Slow News Day coming on to talk about this and so much more. But the time of inaction is over, motherfuckers. We got the White House press secretary saying that this holiday season is Orwellian because it fucking is, and the press attacking her for it.
Led by the private sector to align our collective efforts and resources for the highest possible impact. We need a shift in our economic model that places nature and the world's transition to net zero at the heart of how we operate, prioritizing the pursuit of sustainable, inclusive growth in the decades to come. There is hope that we can transform the situation, but I'm afraid we are literally at the last hour, and there is real urgency for action.
Literally at the last hour, a bit of hyperbole. On a side issue, Prince Charles is now acting in a flagrantly political manner, aligning himself with the global political and business agenda reeking of oligarchies and fascism. This makes Prince Charles clearly unfit for the role of monarch of Britain or Australia, and the Queen must remove him now from the line of succession.
Why is there a succession? I'll say it again. Look, if they want to have their little pretty crowns and their fucking ballrooms and their bullshit and their furry hats and their protectors, that's fucking fine. Why in the world would any democratic government protect them with government officials? It's the Queen's God save the Queen, motherfuckers. What do you think MI5 and MI6 is? You think that's run by Parliament? Like, what world do you live in? I mean, they have 24-hour paid-for fucking security by the state. They have secret government powers they pass over to one another. All right? When I say storm the gates, there's another place you need to storm. And I'm not saying violently. We're never calling for violence here. I want to make sure we say that. But hey, Britain, hey, United Kingdom, hey, rest of Europe. Maybe you want to step up and put some yellow vests on. I'm fine with that. I like those, you know. And go storm fucking the palace, man, and just sit there. What, are they all going to beat you to death with the hats? What, are they going to billy club you? I mean, now's the time for actual civil rights, nonviolent resistance by every creed, every sex, every color. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. These lockdowns will never end globally. They will dictate to us what they are saying. A great reset, a new world order, and medical martial law in a nightmare dystopia via a predator class vision. And with that being said, we are going to go to my good friend and guest, Steve Boykin from the Slow News Day Show. How are you, Steve? I'm sorry, I'm a little fired up today.
No, I'm stoked. I am. I wound up getting the day off of work. I'm rained out. If it's picking up on my mic, I apologize. But it's winter in the Santa Cruz Mountains. I live in a rainforest, so I can't be surprised, when it rains. I'm struck by just how blatant these fucks have become. I mean, in an era of mandatory mask wearing, the figurative mask has been ripped completely off with these unelected, unaccountable, technocratic, sociopathic billionaires and the people who willingly serve them for a position of perceived but not real power.
Exactly. All right, so, let's talk about these things because, I think that this is now my main focus. Now that we've rolled into this next stage and they've just locked down my state in a manner they hadn't before. It's the craziest thing, Steve. So last week, probably what's today, Wednesday? I think it was last Thursday night. I get a text message from one of the guys that I met at that first Caged Aggression show I went to about a month ago. Okay, just under a month. It'd be a month this weekend. And, everybody was really nice. Again, one of the reasons I came to Iowa is because they were having events like this. People were getting together. I saw a pushback. I didn't see the authoritarian restrictions that I was seeing in other states and I didn't like. And so I get a call and they're like, hey, man, we're getting together and we got some things to talk about. And we think that you'd be a great fit for this organization to talk to fighters, come to the weigh-ins, do some play-by-play, halfway through the show. I'm like, this is great. This is actually one of my little dreams, Steve. I know, other than, just freedom, a family, truth in media, things like that I really love. I also, I'm a regular guy. One of the biggest things I miss right now is being able to get together with my brother on pay-per-view night, you know what I mean, every once a month or whatever. And I'm like, wow, finally. As something outside of all this that I also enjoy that goes with things I do. You know what I mean? And I've worked at this. I mean, I've done a podcast with MMA legend John Fitch now for a year. So this is it. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. So we go to the venue. Monday. Yes, Monday during the day. And we start touring it and we're going over what we're doing. And the guy who's hiring me, my buddy Justin. And by the way, the other thing is when we met at the bar was normal, Steve. Now, I've been in other bars, even in the States, okay, where even here they had the plexiglass, or even here the girls behind the bar were wearing that. Now, there was no social distancing enforced. You still had people just running around, everything normal behind the scenes, but still you'd get a little taste of it, right? This place called The Ridge. Rumor has it Kenny Chesney might own it. I don't know. That's what the ramblings were.
So do you have to speak in auto-tune when you go in?
I'll say this. It looked nice. We can bring it up on the Google Maps. It looked nice. But I walked in, it looked a little high-end even for what I was wearing almost. You know what I mean? Very clean, high ceilings. The decor was nice. And I just left to right look. And usually you see at least like one person there with some kind of wackiness, or you at least see the plexiglass. None of it. Fucking bartender, good-looking girl, good-looking guy behind the fucking bar, smiling, being friendly, whole bunch of beers, people eating, having a great time. I'm like, wow, this is great. So that's where I get the job. I'm just feeling good about my decisions. I'm doing my MMA job. I got a bar I can walk to from my house. Awesome. Open till 3 a.m. I know. Great. So as we're in the place, Steve, I'm sitting there and he's going in to ask about internet, okay? And the guy's like, oh, this isn't going to happen. It's like, what? He's like, no, the governor's going to be giving a speech at 6 o'clock. We got the highest infection rate in the nation. I can tell you right now, there's zero chance. And then he's gleeful about it because this guy's worked there forever. He's still got his job. He's making the same amount of money not to do anything about it. I can hear it in his voice, and these are the ones that are helping these people achieve a great reset and keep their boots on our necks because they're like, fuck it, I'm doing less. I love it. Like, I want to be a fucking UBI slave. Oh man. So sure enough, man, after he talks about this and makes some stupid fucking comment about being the same as a blizzard, which it is not, it happens. And now bars are shut down here at 10 p.m. So they ruined my bar thing too. So in one
California, 94% of the state is under the most ridiculous and extreme lockdown measures. I just got a text this morning. I'm part of a historical society here, and well, it's statewide, but in Santa Cruz County, we were supposed to have an event Thursday night at the Oddfellows Hall, which is only used once a month by the Oddfellows. Nobody else goes into this building. We've used it previously. We went ahead and like stayed after for 3 hours the first time, doing all kinds of ridiculous over-the-top cleaning measures. And we just found out that the Oddfellows were like, well, since Gavin Newsom said we're in purple, purple means bad, so you guys can't have your event here. And we're like, but there's going to be maybe 12 people tops. Everyone's going to be, safely social distance, and we'll fucking put on the face diapers and take pictures and send them to you. And you know what? Nothing. Bars closed unless they're serving food, and then they can only serve food and drinks outside. But now it's the winter time and it's raining, so nobody wants to sit outside because everybody's California soft. So 65 degrees and a little bit of wind in the background is like the fucking Arctic. I don't know, dude. I can't wait to get out of this state, Jason. Oh my God.
Dude, but I don't know. Again, like right now. All right. So here's the deal. Here's the LARP on it. Here's the catch. I was hoping, because the things that got excluded were professional sporting events, and then they also had a limit on high school sports and whatever. Now, the private schools here, okay, nothing. No social distancing. I drive past the rich areas because I live in like thank God I live in the best city here. Like it's basically the Quad Cities is like almost 500,000 people split into 4 cities in the 2 different states. But like there's only like under 50,000 people that live in my area. And there's, so you can tell that everywhere else is a little much. So even though my girls are in public school, they're in the best public school out there, right? But the private schools here, there's no social distancing. The kids aren't wearing masks. You see them outside having recess, having the best time of their lives. I mean, they're
being normal children.
Exactly.
At school.
And we're looking into it, by the way. You know what I mean? We're looking into it. We're going to see. But, my girls, they weren't upset we moved. And I remember I moved when I was their age quite a bit. And that'll upset you lose your friends and all the other things. But it's because they wanted the social interaction of school. They understood the importance. They didn't want to just sit around the house all day. You know what I mean? And the one looked at me the other day, Steven, it's just like, again, man, why do we move here if I can't go to school? And I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Now, the LARP is that even with the mask, none of the businesses that hadn't already put the mask thing up and mandated it haven't done that because you have 15 minutes. What do I mean? You have 15 minutes.
Yeah, I heard Pat Militic talking about that, but the audio was so broken up that I couldn't catch all of it.
So let me explain it to you. Basically, if you go into any public space or private business that already isn't mandated to have masks, and I think like there are certain ones where, like, if you're there for a haircut or a massage or something, like where you're touching a person, you got to have masks, right? Those are the only ones that are mandated. It's really it's odd. So most of them there's no mandate. But now if you have a 15-minute time limit. So when I go get my coffee, I can hang out over at the Quick Star and bullshit for 14 minutes and 59 seconds, no mask, before the ordinance kicks in. And that's the reality of it. So, that was the big testing point of whether I was going to start, I think, waking up way angry and going to bed way angry again. Because I think there's been an improvement the last 5-6 weeks in my demeanor, getting out of there, because I couldn't stand that shit in New York.
I wasn't going to say anything, Jason, but yeah, you have been more pleasant. You have.
I know I have, man. It's not even a thing. Listen, that's a reality, and that's why we have to become the great resistance now, because in a lot of ways it is the little things. And it's going to be the bigger things. I can't imagine. Listen, man, I can't imagine if I had to do a 9 to 5 with a mask on. I don't think I could do it. I'd have to find another way.
That's one of the nicer things about my day job is that I'm a carpenter. I really only put a mask on if I'm standing or fucking, doing something extra gnarly with concrete, if I've got concrete dust flying in my face all day. And even then, it's not like the mask stops the concrete dust. It's not like the mask stops, you know, whatever particles come up off of wood when you sand it, or drywall when you sand it. I've taken my mask off after sanding drywall and had a cop ask me if I just left the coke mines. All right. And he was being funny about, but long day at the coke mines and fucking, fuck you, guy. But even then, it's not like it protects it. And to underscore your point about your niece, I came home from work yesterday. My son's 14. He was stomping around the house back in his bedroom. He's got some fucking woe is me bullshit pouring out of his speakers. And I'm like, you all right, bro? And he's like, I'm just sad. Okay, why are you sad? I wish I could hang out with my girlfriend more. I wish you could hang out with your girlfriend more too. Like, your girlfriend's invited over here. I'm not going to make her wear a fucking hazmat suit just to sit in the hammock with you, dude. Like, it's cool. But no, the effect that this is having on children. And this kind of overlaps into something that Corey Morningstar and I were talking about. And if you haven't been following Corey Morningstar's work on the Great Reset and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, my God, go get thee there. But she framed it in a way that frightened the fuck out of me, Jason. She said all of the targeting about this Great Reset and this Fourth Industrial Revolution, even though it's walking corpses who are delivering most of the talking points on it, it's all targeted to the children. They don't need us anymore, Jason. They don't need our parents anymore because they've already infected so fully the minds of these kids who are now mandated to be in front of a screen X amount of hours a day. And the programming that these children are being subjected to from day one, from birth, to follow a certain amount, follow certain orders, only have conversations within certain parameters, and always, always, always have your digital fucking leash connected to you at all times and be ready to be surveilled. I'm glad to hear that there's a small scale student revolt going on with the spy software and the snitch software that's involved in test taking apps and whatnot. But man, dude, this is not just a battle for the rest of our lives. This is a battle for future generations that we're going to have to fight against our own children initially. That's how fucked up this is.
Well, I'm trying to teach my kids otherwise. It's funny. So, they're still doing amazing in school. Like, compared to what they were doing remote learning in New York, which was a joke, which was a bunch of kids rambunctious on a thing. They're not learning anything. Right now, they're going, actually, they're at school right now. So, depending on the week, they go twice or 3 times a week to the school. They obviously have their Chromebooks and whatever. But, in my day, and maybe this is why I kind of gravitated towards this. One of the things I remember is right around 3rd, 4th grade, they had us reading an article, and then you had to go up and you had to talk about it for a while. Now, they would tell you that you would either have to have a summary of that article, or if you were good enough, you could just highlight it and just talk, but you had to do, I think it was something like 3 minutes minimum, 5 minutes max, So I got good at it really quick. You know what I mean? I got good at it really quick. It'd be one of those things where people would really sweat it because they couldn't talk in front of people, but I had the gift of gab. It wasn't a big deal. So on the way to school, I would just have whatever paper was sitting on the, wherever, grab it, pick an article. I wouldn't even highlight the stuff, and I just go bam, and get through it. Now, the kids are now reading articles, and they're getting multiple choice questions. So instead, exactly. It's such a big...
Wait a minute.
Oh, wait a minute. Exactly. So instead of what I thought... And by the way, this also led to debates So you would have people that were assigned eventually certain topics, and you would say which position you were going to take. And even then, I remember going into 5th, 6th grade, abortion wasn't off limits, right to life wasn't off limits, all those controversial topics, but they would let you think for yourself. You know what I mean? They would let you pick what articles you wanted. As long as it was in a paper or in a magazine, you could do it and you could take that position. They're doing articles on COVID now and the vaccine. So yes, they're reading actual news articles that are promoting these vaccines, and then they're given multiple choice questions about the news articles regarding the vaccines and who like the authoritative sources are and what this represents.
Oh my gosh.
And they're 11 and 9. And the 11-year-old is the one that's reading this to me, and she told me to it. And I said, well, I want to see what they're asking. And, it seems, on its surface, innocent enough. Oh, well, they're just trying to keep them informed. But you got a fucking muzzle on my kid, okay? When they're in these situations. They're social distancing. She already tells me how hard it is to make friends because nobody knows if one person's smiling at one another. We don't know what each other look like. We're not allowed to get close to each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. She's made one good friend, thank goodness, that lives around the corner. Literally, I could throw a rock at her house, which is great. But, this is not normal. You're right. This is total social engineering and conditioning of our children on another level. And I'm warning you people. I get it. You got to work. All this is crazy. You're trying to keep up with your mortgage. You don't want them to take your stuff. You're keeping your head above water. You need to spend time with your kids now more than ever while this is going on. And you need to ask questions about what they're being told, about what's going to fix things. Because even, 5-6 months ago, at the beginning of this, and geez, man, probably right around the time, I guess it's longer than that now, 8-9 months ago, February, when we met up, one of the things that I was noticing in the kids is they're going to school and they hate Trump for everything that's stupid. They don't hate Trump for Julian Assange. They don't hate Trump for Syria. They don't hate Trump for, Pompeo or Bill Barr or what he allowed to happen to Epstein after he got arrested. None of that stuff, right? They don't even know about that stuff. It's Orange Man bad. It's racist. How could he be in office? And me and my sister, started having conversations with him about it. Said, whoa. Well, politicians aren't good, but just because your teacher says that doesn't make it true, and that's actually not true, and why? So, I mean, especially in these situations, Steve, I think that we got to ensure that doesn't happen, and we're not going to have to, physically fight with our kids.
You're so right, and not enough parents spend enough time talking to their kids, just even bullshitting with your kids, because you can get a feel of where their head's at as much through casual conversation as you can by asking direct questions. In fact, oftentimes it's easier to get stuff out of your kids by not asking them direct questions, or just letting them rant. And at least with my kids, they've been exposed to a little dose of reality by living in this house, but when they go to their friends' houses and they come home, they're like, those guys are weird. I'm not good. One of my son's best friends, man. I went and met them at a grocery store parking lot. They're halfway driving, shared responsibility, that kind of thing, just grown up shit. And I get there, and they're both parents. This kid's parents are standing outside of the vehicle. They've got masks on. He's got a mask on. There's a kid in the car with a mask on. Connor immediately takes his off when he gets out of the car, starts walking towards my truck. We get in the truck and drive away. And he's like, dude, Dad, can I cuss? And I'm like, yeah, you can cuss. He was like, dude, that was fucking weird. And I'm, what? He goes, they have a rule in their car that if your hands touch anything, you have to sanitize them. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what the surface is. It doesn't matter if the surface had just been sanitized. If your hands touch anything in the vehicle, you have to sanitize them. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the last time you ride with them.
Yeah. I mean, again, think about that. They're in such fear, and now you're indoctrinating your own family to kind of think of each other as an enemy. If you touch something, this is your blood. And that's what I mean. Like, this is a transhumanist movement. And it was one of the things that, you know, in the very beginning when the masks started to come out, right? I said that. I said, look, maybe it works a little bit or whatever, but, you know, they were telling you N95, and if this is airborne, then this is a virus, so forget about it. But what I don't like is the fact that it's taking your identity away. Okay, and it is. It's taking your humanity away. It's making you identify other people as a possible enemy. They could be the terrorist. They could be the infection. And now, dude, today, I mean, I coughed while I was here. Now when I'm in the middle of a fucking Walmart and I'm the fucking cowboy that's pulled down his fucking neckerchief and grabbing steaks, and I'm surrounded by 26 people, and I got a cough. Yep. That's exactly what I do.
Go into town and get coffee.
Oh yeah. Listen, I literally walk in there like I'm robbing a train, just walk right past and then pull it right down, and that's it. That's the wrap. And you know, that's the only time because I won't go to the stores now that make you do it, like Marshall's. You know, again, it's being corporate enforced. But
yeah,
exactly. It's the craziest thing. But when I sit there and I look around and how people are acting, every time it's like the Twilight Zone. It's like, dude, I don't even know you. I want to shake your hand. I want to pat you on the back. I want to have a conversation with you because I'm not fucking scared. And you shouldn't be either. Let's stop. Let's stop with the nonsense. Again,
that's the craziest part. Sorry to cut you off, but that's the craziest part is that guys that don't wear the mask, you know, that are just walking around outdoors by themselves without a mask on are a bigger threat and more of a foreigner than someone who covers their face, won't look you in the eye, won't talk to you, and certainly won't touch you. This is why I've been telling people that we live in a fucking cartoon for years now. And I agree. Every time I fucking pull the bandana up, I'm like, well, it's time to go rob the stagecoach, you know? I mean, fucking, ow. I don't know how long I'm here, Jay. So I wanna remark on a couple of things that I caught you saying when you were reviewing good old Prince Chuck there.
Yep.
There's a significant amount of overlap between what we do at Action for Assange and what you're trying to organize right now with the Storm the Gates thing, and it all centers around post-partisanship, around dropping political ideology. Because you're right, it shouldn't matter what political party you support. You should be against these lockdowns. You should be against the crushing of the world economy. From the world economy down to your local economy. It's being shattered and it's being completely taken over by people who want you dead, who would rather replace you with a robot, and if they can't, an autist. You know, like this is, it's now. Now is the time. We need a free and open internet more than ever. We need a free press more than ever. We need a post-partisan movement that doesn't center around red team, blue team, or left, right, or any of that shit. Because we can't even talk about any of that shit until we know what our government is doing and why they're doing it. And why the people that influence our government and own our government and frequently purchase members of our government, why we know what they're doing and who they are.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. We need to go after more than just the politicians and more than just the billionaires that we're familiar with. Because guess what? Those billionaires that we're familiar with, those are just, top level social climbers that are willing to do the bidding of that same predator class oligarchy that's been ruled by bloodline forever. Do you think Lord Rothschild takes orders from Jeff fucking Bezos? Guess what? He doesn't. Guess what? He don't. Okay? And neither do his family
until
members.
There's a Bezos bank.
Listen, Bezos
is taking orders. But once he controls the monetary supply, yeah, he'll be in charge. But until then, the people who control the monetary supply and manipulate currency, they're they're in charge.
I mean, let's be honest. Those guys are as cutthroat as it gets. That's why they're elevated to the positions they are. That's why that Bezos is in there from everywhere from media with his newspapers to the Central Intelligence Agency and the NSA by handling their data to everything that we're getting, including I'll be getting a new lens for this lovely camera today by Jeff Bezos and his dark overlords over at Amazon. I can't lie. I'm partly hypocritical for sure. That's part of it. But then you also have him in space. You know, everybody goes to Musk, and I do that a lot, you know, because SpaceX is the big name. SpaceX. Ooh, yeah. We're doing it, SpaceX. But there's also Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin. So, you know, they've taken this new level. Those guys are frontmen. I'm worried about their cult of personality more than just their actions, because their actions are going to be lockstep with whatever this great reset New World Order agenda is.
Yeah.
I get more scared of guys that have been able to incorporate that kind of thing with Palantir and more and the Bilderberg Group, a.k.a. Peter Thiel, who we don't hear from at all. And this is another reason I get really afraid about guys like that. Guys within our supposed movement of wanting to do the truth and, you know, constitutionalism and freedom sometimes promote that motherfucker. Like he's one of the good oligarchs or the good billionaires. And I'm sorry, man. I'm not buying into that fucking fairy tale. What do you think?
Same with Bob Mercer and same with Sheldon Adelson. They get a pass for some reason. Sheldon Adelson is one of the creepiest, most hardcore ultra-right Zionists on the planet. And he gets no to next to no scrutiny in the truth community media.
That's
and
true.
People get mad at me in that sphere for bringing to light his involvement with the UC Global thing.
And for those that don't know, tell people that, because that's directly involved with the Central Intelligence Agency spying on Assange illegally in these Ecuadorian embassies and beyond, by the way. And not only that, but plotting to kill the motherfucker. I mean, we're talking about literally putting down pay-for-hire mercenary-style assassinations via private intelligence networks that are beholden to a guy that's giving all sorts of money to Trump. You wonder why John Bolton was fucking picked? I'll give you a hot take on that one. I'll give you a hot guess who might have said they wanted Bolton. Adelson and Stone.
Yeah. Same with Elliot Abrams. Same with that whole cabal that's running South America right now and Central America right now. When we were on Union of the Unwanted the other night, Jason, by the way, man, I had so much fun.
Good. I'm so glad. I can't believe I almost missed it.
Well, and I swear, like, I should have fucking texted you earlier on in the day. I thought, since I knew that Roger Stone was going to be on, everybody must know that Roger Stone was going to be on, because I didn't, unless that was something that Charlie just used to entice me to get me on the show, like I wouldn't do it anyway, but.
Well, I was talking to you about it 2 weeks ago. I had just forgotten to say, Ricky, why don't we have Steve on? Because again, these things man, you know how much content I pop out. All of a sudden it's every other Monday. And I'm like, oh shit, am I doing this 2 to 3 hour broadcast? And usually I'm not as tired as I was that day. And like I said, man, I was just going to go into a McDonald's coma, but thank God I tuned in right before. And I'm like, fucking Roger Stone is here. Uh-oh.
I was a little surprised by the amount of Trump hope porn that was tossed around on that panel, which is why I really am grateful I had the opportunity to talk about Trump's actual record and the fact that he is Israel's bitch and has been Israel's bitch since day one. And I saw a handful, Jason, of uncomfortable faces on that panel.
That's why I'm there. Believe me. Oh, that's nothing. You think that's bad. I mean, they've had some top QAnon guys there. They've had the Edge of Wonder guys there, people that work for the Epic Times. And, I've been on a lot of them. And I don't play that game. But at the same time...
Oh, no, neither do I.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, but it's what it takes. We've got to get all segments of society and the population on board with a couple of very simple ideas and a couple of very simple but seemingly insurmountable goals. Those being a free flow of information, a free and open internet, not being subjected to the whims of unelected fucking billionaires. Like, I don't know why that needs an angle, Jason. I don't know why it needs a hook, you know?
Here's the thing. So I'm doing a story yesterday, right? And I happened to use CNN as a source because even CNN has to admit, I think it was the New York shooting story, right? Like, I was talking about how crazy New York has gotten, how a woman can have her baby almost ripped from her on the streets and police don't show up for a half an hour. And then when they do show up, it's not even police. It's this new mental health crew, okay? So luckily, some dude knew jujitsu and held him in a friggin' chokehold for 30 minutes. You know, I'm like, that's where it's really falling apart. We're talking about dead in the middle of the day. This guy tried to rip a 2-year-old out of a stroller with a woman who had 2 kids with her. And luckily, not only was he there, but a group was there, but the group couldn't stop him. And it was the one guy that put him in the thing and held him for 30 minutes. So as I'm going through these stories, right, and I go to the amount of shootings and the violent crime that has like doubled in New York City this year. It's hilarious because it's a CNN. I wanted to bring it up because they're the authoritative source, but they're running an ad for some novel, right? Like the video ad for those hip novels that grandma still reads, you know? And it's about a political conspiracy. like it says political conspiracy and it's showing like, you know, it's got the black and white background and the people in suits and you can't make out who they are. And I'm like, these fucking assholes are selling you on some pseudo bullshit, you know, conspiracy fiction fucking retard shit when the real deal is happening all the time and they're suppressing it and promoting another narrative. You know, I do this video on defunding the police in New York City and I'm not sure you've seen it yet, but there's a dude last night who jumped on the top of a stopped New York City bus, Steve. Okay, not like I was picking people up. Like I stopped at the stoplight in the middle of New York City after dusk. It's dark out. Cars, people in them, you name it, jumped on the top of it, Steve, and let off a flamethrower for about 35 seconds for an underground rap music video. You could clearly see as it's spouting. Not only is the bus underneath still kind of trying to move, but there are times when the gasoline or whatever they're using to spray it, the flame thing is spilling onto the top of the bus and there are flames on the top of the bus. No, it doesn't catch fire, but you can see it. And I'm just thinking to myself, you know, okay, it's a music video now. But motherfuckers have fucking flamethrowers in New York City and the cops aren't around. That's a recipe for disaster eventually.
Okay, but you gotta admit that's pretty fucking gangster, right? I mean, let's be honest there. That's pretty. What fucking 14-year-old boy on the planet doesn't want to hop on a city bus with a flamethrower? And like that's who that music's for.
Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to do it live for those who haven't seen it yet. I mean, you want to defund the police, motherfuckers? This is what you are going to get. We're going to play this shit because it's just so wild.
Oh, that's beautiful.
There's the ice cream truck right out in front. What is this, him getting off? No, I want to see him actually do it. Here we go.
That guy has never used a flamethrower before in his entire life.
Look at this thing. I mean, this is nuts.
That's not what you do with that. The kids, practice flamethrower safety. You know, I can't stress this enough. That's not how you hold a flamethrower.
Can you imagine?
He shot it at the ground.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, bro. He's getting for this music video. They're doing like this is the nuttiest thing I've seen. Can you imagine being on that fucking bus?
Yeah. Look, if it's your first day with a flamethrower, maybe don't go shoot a video. You know, maybe wait till like day 3 on the flamethrower before you do that. You can make those fairly easily at home too.
Let's end it there. I'm not advocating anybody makes any flamethrowers. I'm actually pointing out.
No. But the same principles of just making a potato cannon apply. You know?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. A buddy of mine here in the mountains made a potato cannon, but also with map gas and oxygen, and it would shoot a golf ball like a half a mile. I mean, just it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. We had to retire it. We got in a small amount of there was a kerfuffle.
For those that aren't as redneck as Steve and I are, you know, if you don't know what a potato gun is, and I've shot many, we used to in upstate New York, because I was unfamiliar when I was a kid until I went to upstate New York. You get a PVC pipe, okay, depending on the range, and then, you know, something that has air pressure on the end. There's varying ways to do this. And then what we would do is there are a lot of old barns around. So you would go and buy a sack of big potatoes, you know, 10-pound bag, try to get some of the big ones, but not too big. They still had to fit in your PVC pipe. You know, you weren't using salt potatoes. And then we would see who could take out the most wood panels, you know, because the things were already rotting or whatever. So you'd probably be across the street, you know, probably 30, 40 yards, 100 feet or so. And you would try to pick them off, and you go one at a time, or you get 5 at a time, and who could pick off the most and put holes in. That was the big thing for you non-rednecks out there. A little life lesson.
Pretty similar growing up in Indiana. Lots and lots of barns. And then once you get to Northern California, you know, you've got redwoods that are like 8 humans around that have lived for several thousand years and have stood the test of time and earthquake and fire and whatnot. So a potato.
Yeah, no. Unless you've been to the redwoods.
Not going to take the tree out. You could pretty safely shoot at the tree.
Yeah, you could paint targets on the trees that would probably be there thousands of years later. And by the way, I recommend, especially before all this nonsense might get cut off, do it to a great reset. Get out to Sonoma and check out the redwoods. They are stunning. There's just something about being next to something that is an intricate life network of ginormous. How's that? When you're in there, you feel so small.
If you can, go to southern Humboldt County, take the Garberville exit, head north towards Redway, and get on the Avenue of the Giants. It is a small blue highway meaning before freeways, interstate, that kind of thing. It's how people used to travel in the olden days. And hang out there for I did several hours. You can walk down to the Eel River. You are surrounded by old growth redwoods. They left it more or less alone. There's a handful of towns along the way. They're like maybe a stop sign, maybe a stoplight towns. And if it's not all coronavirus crazy, you can pretty much do, if you're inclined, like a pub or winery tour of Avenue of the Giants, eat some fantastic food, and be in a part of nature that has really been untouched. And there aren't that many of those left.
No,
there really aren't.
No, not like that. It is incredible. Steve, I think I'm going to wrap it up for the Rockfin audience. I want to thank you for coming on. Why don't you tell people how people can support you? Check out the Slow News Day show, the Action for Assange network. What's going on? So
you can find all of Slow News Day's stuff at slownewsdayshow.com. My tech guy, Sleepy Josh, built the website. I think it's laid out pretty fantastic. Full archive is there, as well as most of the free Assange vigils. I'm on Twitter at Slow News Day Show. Actionforassange.com is the website. It's got everything that we're involved in. We're heading back to Washington, D.C., January 4th, 3rd and 4th, because District Judge Vanessa Baratzer, concierge to the U.S. State Department, will read her decision regarding the rendition and broad daylight kidnapping of Julian Assange. December 10th, Human Rights Day, I'll be in Denver at an event there with a local Free Assange group out of the Denver area. Our friend and frequent co-host on the vigils, Kendra Christian, is organizing that. And I think, yeah, slownewsdayshow.com, actionforassange.com. You'll find everything else that you need to from there.
Fantastic. And if you're not following him on Twitter, what are you waiting for? If you're not following me on Twitter, guys, it's not cat videos. I know. But every once in a while, you get a flamethrower. You see what I'm saying?
I can promise you the occasional twerking video. Not of me.
Not of you.
You know.
Well, then I'm not interested, Steve. In fact, I might just have to block you if it's not of you, my friend. How misogynistic and terrible of you. We need to cancel Slow News Day.
I'm a fan of a fat ass, Jason Burmis.
I bet you are, sir. I bet you are. All right, my friend. We will talk soon. Thanks for coming on, brother. Thanks for letting me know.
Take care, man.
Later on. So, folks, yet another Rockfin exclusive. We will be posting the vast majority, if not all, of the Steve from Slow News Day interview over there. But you got the Great Reset totally on your own. We're not putting that up. We've already had the Rowan Dean first piece on there, so this is going to be the bonus that we're going to leave up there. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us live and having fun with us over on Rockfin. Make sure you know we are fully demonetized via the YouTube platform for 7+ months right now without any real explanation. 6+ months after review. Okay, they didn't tell us what to get rid of. They didn't say what was offensive content. How dare we tell the truth here? So we are supported by people like you, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. If you are watching this on the replay and you don't have a Rockfin account, we do it live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It is free to have an account. We leave it free for at least 24 hours. If you make the premium account, you get everything, all the archives. You support me. It's better than a Patreon, in my opinion. It supports free speech. It builds the network. And you get all the other creators. This is like a Netflix for creators. Remember, all of my documentary films, folks, they are free. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture, available right here, right now at YouTube. You can also go over there, make sure you're a member of the Burmis Brigade. Thumbs them up there. Subscribe, share. Let's get it to 60,000, 75,000, 100,000 before they kick me off arbitrarily with no real reason and just selective enforcement against free speech. Love you guys. It's not about left or right. It's about right and wrong. See you on the flip side.